Yep. All right. Intros, Brandon.
All right. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Rap Thought Podcast. We got Matt. He's over there looking cold. Mm-hmm. And me, Brandon. I'm here too. And it is beanie season, and I didn't bring my beanie.
Dude, I love beanie and hoodie season.
I always look forward to this time of year because it's beanie season. Beanie season.
Yeah. Well, also where we live, it gets cold, but not too cold. It doesn't snow, so it's not like we have to wear a crazy amount of layers. And it's like we just need a sweatshirt and a beanie, and you're good.
I'm gonna do a call out. So I noticed that people from Southern California that move up here, they think it's hard to hang a little bit. Yeah. So my buddy grew up here in West County and moved to San Diego for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so Grayton has its own microclimate, so it's cold. But he went down there and he came back and he was freezing. So it kind of made him a bitch.
Well, yeah, I could relate to that because coming up here, it was a shock of how much colder it was.
It's not that bad, but I mean, of course, when you're used to it, it's not. But I'm sure if I left, it'd be like, damn. But y'all spoiled down there.
Just the fact that it gets to 30 degrees up here regularly during the winter is cold to me.
No, I feel that.
Yeah,
I feel
but
that.
I enjoy it. I enjoy the days at 60 degrees. I think that's perfect weather.
Mm-hmm. It is nice up here, and I do like it for sure.
Yeah.
But aside from the weather, we also talk about albums and music and everything. So if this is your first time tuning in with us, we have a list that we put some albums on. We select from random, and we take a listen to it. Sometimes we're familiar with the album, sometimes we're not, but we give you our rap thoughts on it, and we don't do a review. We don't review it. We just tell you where we would play it, what we thought of it, some insight on it. We try to go as deep as we can, and that's kind of what we do, right?
Yeah, that's a good summary of what we do, and we do more than that. As things come up, like this episode. It's not necessarily your, typical hip hop album.
It's not.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
But it's a fucking classic.
Yeah, it's definitely related to hip hop in many ways, but it's also very much a part of, I'm sure, of your early childhood and mine.
Oh yeah.
And so I think this is a cool one that came up on the list that, is gonna be a lot of nostalgia for us. And I'm sure for a lot of the listeners that are around our age. What's really funny is one of the girls that works for me, she's in her early 20s. She's still in college. And she didn't hear it. And she dressed up as the Toon Squad. Like her and her friends had the Space Jam jerseys. And then I was asking her about it. And I was like, have you seen the movie? What do you think about it? And she's like, I've never seen it. I don't even know what it is.
Dude.
And I'm like, what? How are you dressing up as a Toon Squad? And then I asked her, I'm like, well, do you want to see it? And she's like, well, I started it, but it was just too weird and I couldn't watch it. And I was just like, man, that's
She's
crazy.
Still working for you?
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta let her go.
That also shows you the influence that Space Jam has. It's still, people are still dressing up as Toon Squad. Almost 30 years later,
And so just to put it on record for official, because I'm sure you could just read the title of the podcast. But this week we're doing 1996 Space Jam soundtrack to the motion picture, starring Michael Jordan, not Michael Jackson, and Bugs Bunny, and the whole Toon Squad and everything like that. The whole Looney Tunes squad.
So definitely before we get into the music, we should definitely talk about the movie. So
we have to. I mean, for one, when this movie came out, what grade were you in?
I came in 96. Had to be third grade?
I was going to say second or third
Second
grade.
or third grade.
Yeah.
It's probably second.
And what was this like for you?
This was everything to me because number one, Michael Jordan was my favorite athlete, period. I was obsessed with anything that had to do with Michael Jordan. I watched all of his games. I collected his basketball cards. I even had his cologne.
This is before the movie?
This is before the movie.
Or because of the movie?
No, before the movie. I was a huge Jordan fan. I had Jordans. And none of my friends were really into basketball or into Jordan like I was. I think for me, I loved that he was the greatest, but also I loved that he always talked about how much he practiced and how much work he put in. And like, I thought about those things and I applied those things to my own life. Whenever I played soccer, I was like, okay, I'm going to be like Jordan and be the last one to leave practice.
I know you weren't thinking this deep in second grade.
Dude, I was. I'm telling you, this is how I was thinking.
You don't even remember second grade.
But I just remember, and I collected all of his VHS tapes they're like documentaries on Jordan and his career. So I vividly remember this movie coming out because I was counting down the days, and I couldn't wait to go see it.
Yo, it's hard to put it, like, I don't want to say if you grew up in the 90s, but like if you were cognitively aware in the 90s, you knew about this movie and you were all about it. So for me, I actually wasn't at that time aware of the NBA teams. Like, I played basketball as a kid and I sucked at it, and it was really shitty. But it's still, to this day, it will always be my favorite sport. But when Space Jam came out, that was everything. Like, I was like, oh, Michael Jordan. I didn't know who he was. Like, now I'm a fan. Wow. And I think everyone like me in that point, you became a Michael Jordan fan after that. And it was cool because in second grade, we had this dance show. And we did it to Quad City DJ's Space Jam. So, like, I remember it was in the multi-purpose room. We had all our parents there, and we did our dance. And I don't remember the dance, though. I remember the dessert I brought because it was like a potluck kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That's amazing. And did anyone film this? Is this on film?
I think it was filmed, but I don't know.
Damn, someone needs to upload that to YouTube. That's worth a lot of money right there.
Yeah, it's worth something. But, but that shit was sick though. But I mean, this soundtrack is also just timeless for me. It has to be in like a top 3 soundtrack just because of nostalgia. Like there's no way. And when I think of music, like if I'm not, because I did track and cross country in high school, but if I'm not thinking about running to a song or just doing something like acrobatic and crazy to some beat, I'm thinking of doing something to a basketball beat. I'm thinking of Quad City DJs as I'm dribbling between my legs, breaking someone's ankles, going to the rim and just or putting up 3. I'm thinking of Biz Markie and the track later on in the album. Like, I'm thinking of those tracks as I'm doing stuff. I can't do any of those moves, but that's what I'm thinking of.
What's funny is I definitely have more of association with the actual movie than the soundtrack. Growing up, I vividly remember going to the movie theater with my friends.
You saw it in theaters?
I saw it in theaters, I think 4 times. Like, I made my mom take me. It was probably 3, but maybe 4. And I remember the first time I went, when it was opening night, and they gave all the kids that went to the movie, they gave them a stuffed animal of one of the characters from the movie in like their Toon Squad uniform. I don't think so. Maybe it's in my mom's garage somewhere, but I'm pretty sure I got Bugs Bunny in his Toon Squad uniform. And it was about this big. It was pretty big too. It wasn't like a small little Beanie Baby. It was a large size stuffed animal. And I just remember being blown away and just being so excited for the movie. And I loved it. And it was hilarious, and I can see why someone today who's never seen it, like a younger person, thinking it's weird, but at the time it was really crazy. It was a whole different thing to see cartoons with real people. That was a wild concept, and it blew us all away. We didn't think it was weird at all. We were just amazed at it.
I was gonna tie it back to the girl you were talking about, because I feel like there was a conversation I had where someone said, yeah, the movie's kind of whack, like it's just kind of dorky and weird and whatnot. And I've never thought of it that way. Like, it's just something you grow up with. My favorite movie of all time is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and people are like, dude, that movie's creepy and weird. It's like, no, it's a great movie though. So
but I think everything else in the movie is great as well. Bill Murray is amazing in it. I love Bill Murray, and I think he's hilarious in Space Jam. And you got Danny DeVito doing the voice acting, and you have all the other NBA stars that are in it.
Of that time, which is it's just kind of crazy to think about, because I'm sure a lot of people nowadays don't know who these people are.
Right, and of course we've all heard the news that LeBron James is doing the next Space Jam.
And they've been talking about it since 2015.
Yeah,
So
supposedly it has a date. It's coming out in June of 2021 or July.
You gonna go see it?
I will. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters, but I'll definitely see it. I'll watch it.
I'll see it. Well,
But what I'm worried about is I can imagine being a 30-year-old when the original Space Jam coming out and watching it and be like, what the fuck is this? And, I feel like I'm going to have that same feeling like, this is really for kids. It's not meant for me.
I'm going to watch it. I'll see it in theaters. I mean, if there were no pandemic, I would say,
I just can't see it topping the original, because the Looney Tunes is really not relevant today. Back then in the mid 90s, we were still watching Looney Tunes. We were still paying attention to Bugs Bunny and, Daffy Duck and all those other Elmer Fudd and all those characters. No one watches those anymore. It's all about SpongeBob,
Which is weird because SpongeBob's not like, there's a 4-year difference between Space Jam and SpongeBob.
That is crazy.
SpongeBob and Cat Dog came out around the same time, 1999, 2000, and Space Jam 96. It's crazy to think that they're.
Well, I'm sure there's other more current cartoons, but it's definitely not Looney Tunes.
No, but you're right though. That's what makes it weird. Is like there's a 3 to 4 year difference, but Looney Tunes is outdated.
Right.
Interesting to think about. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. But the movie, though, I mean, I don't think there's really much to describe about it. I feel like a lot of people have most likely seen it. The Looney Tunes.
You can't really describe it anyway. You have to watch it, and you have to go into it knowing that it's made for kids. But it is a great piece of history in terms of just sports and cinema. One of the things is this is one of the first movies to implement a virtual, like a 360-degree virtual set. So they did a whole room of green screen to film this movie, and it was one of the first ones to do that. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, it's used breakthrough technology that pretty much all movies use today. All the Marvel movies are made with this kind of technology, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. Well, I think it is. I'm kind of curious as we talk about the soundtrack, because this is our first soundtrack.
Yes.
And from my mindset going into an album, I like to consider a story. And I was actually kind of curious listening to this if it kind of does depict some element of Space Jam. Mm-hmm. So, if in terms of Space Jam, very briefly, the Looney Tunes are encountered by some aliens. The aliens want to take over. So they challenge them to a basketball game because the aliens are super short. And the Looney Tunes are like, yeah, we'll smoke them at basketball, no problem. But then the Monstars take the NBA talent and then become crazy good at basketball. So the Looney Tunes are like, we're fucked. So they recruit Michael Jordan, who recently retired from basketball and joined minor league baseball, which is a true story. And they recruit him. Mm-hmm. And then, they have a basketball game, things ensue, and I won't spoil it for you, but I'll leave it at that. It's very brief. But going into this album, I was curious, I wonder if, it does tie in. I mean, there's some songs that come on during the movie, but then some that don't play until the credits.
Right.
And kind of some themes in it, I noticed. There's a lot of love songs, but it's not a love story. There's a hint of it between Bugs and Lola, but that's as far as you go. It's nothing deep.
Well, I think it is a love story, though. It's about Michael Jordan's love for the game. In the end, he returns to basketball after retiring and playing baseball for a bit, and I think it's in the R. Kelly song, I Believe I Can Fly. He says, he learns how to love someone or something. Mm-hmm. He specifically says something. You can have a love for a thing or something that you do that's similar to loving someone else. You get that same passion. Mm-hmm. So I think it's related in that way. And I was thinking similar to you, what kind of story do I get from the soundtrack, or what kind of themes?
And what goes into the selection of the songs for the soundtrack?
Yeah.
What goes
I definitely get a theme. And it matches with the movie. Is most of these songs have to do with overcoming struggle, have to do with believing in yourself.
I was going to say
have to do empowerment. They have to do with being a hero. You know, and you know, winning in competition, and it's a lot of, like you said, self-empowerment songs, which is dope.
It's cool. But yeah, I think those are kind of the themes that will be going in as we dissect this up a little bit. But yeah, shall we jump in?
Let's do it. Let's get in.
Yeah. So we started off with "Fly Like an Eagle" by Seal, and I was seeing that before this movie came out, he just came off of like he just came off of three Grammys, I think it was. But he was Seal was doing really well prior to the album coming out. And you know, this one is definitely, you know, "Fly Like an Eagle." I think of the American kind of thing of an equal freedom and flying and everything. And that's kind of what I get from this track.
Yeah. It's this is an amazing song. I loved it when I was a kid. I always loved when this song came on the radio. It's a great song, and it's a cover song. It's not a Seal song. It's originally done by Steve Miller
Band in 1977.
Yeah, but Seal did a great cover, and it's a perfect way to start off this album, and it's you know, it's an awesome song. I think it fits great with the movie and the theme of, you know, believing in yourself and accomplishing what you want to, and putting your mind to something and doing it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm thinking back, you know, as a kid, there was a lot of songs on here that I skipped. I didn't listen to "Fly Like an Eagle."
Really?
I did not.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
I love this song when I was a kid.
There was probably I'm listening to Space Jam. I'll go over the.
You wanted the pump up tracks.
Yeah, I wanted the pump ones. Absolutely. But like, it's interesting now being 32 and dissecting this. Like, "Fly Like an Eagle," the lyrics actually have to do with like wanting to help people in need, and I don't know, just like. And it plays in the beginning when he's a kid, when Michael Jordan's a kid and he's with his dad, and he's talking about like his dreams of like wanting to be great and do something. So, you know, "Fly Like an Eagle" comes on of just like, hey, you can do it, you can do this. And you know, when in the reference to helping people in need, it's like kind of looking at that person that's down low and making it out and doing something. So fly, I guess.
Yeah, and then so for the second track we have Coolio doing the winner.
Oh, hey, real quick, I was reading for "Fly Like an Eagle." You know who was on the keys for that was D'Angelo.
Really? For the production. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
I never knew that.
Yes, D'Angelo had a couple hands in a few of these tracks. And so I was reading that Seal was saying, like, you can't really hear it now, but now that I've told you, you'll hear it now. So
right.
I'm going to listen for that.
That's crazy.
But yeah.
So yeah, next we have Coolio doing the winner. And this is a cool song. I don't remember this from when I was younger. I don't remember this song specifically. But listening to it now, I really enjoyed it. I was like, damn, Coolio can rap.
He can rap, and he drops some nuggets in here, but this is definitely the first one empowering people and telling them to take action. One of my favorite lines in here was, "You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And you can give a man some wisdom, but you can't make him think." And I was like, okay.
Right.
But yeah, he just drops a couple. "You got to take control because fools don't live to be old." And he also says, "Take your time and educate your mind. In the long run, I'm sure you'll be fine." So
yeah, it's like a very positive song for
super
Coolio.
Positive.
And obviously before this, he released "Gangster's Paradise." But yeah, it's dope when artists like this put uplifting messages in their music.
Yeah, and the beat's totally like up tempo, like. I don't know. I really like it. But, you know, in that third verse, he's also encouraging people of all colors to mind their own and get along.
Right.
And to add on to it, he's saying, aspire to be a leader, but if you can't, make sure the one you have is a great teacher. And just really, I mean, as a kid, I'm not. This is also another one I skipped over. But if it could be one of those things where if you learn the lyrics and then you subconsciously absorb it, this is a really good message to kids. Because
Absolutely.
you would think the winner, it's just about winning and being the best, but it's really not. It's really more of winning by being the best person you can be and spreading that to other people. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, the really dope song. I was pleasantly surprised by that one. And then, of course, the next song, we ramp things up a bit and we go into Quad City DJ's Space Jam.
Bro, how does this not hype you up?
Dude, this is still a classic to this day. This song sounds great today. It doesn't sound too dated. It's a hype track. It definitely reminds you of a pep rally or being in high school and, getting the crowd amped up for something.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't help yourself but get amped up when you hear this.
And it was great in the movie because it's right, as he's done talking with his dad in the beginning of, what he wants to be. And then I think he, is running to do a dunk. I'm trying to remember the movie. And, of course,
Oh, yeah, and then during the credits, the opening credits.
Yeah, the opening credits.
Yeah, and he's dunking, playing, yeah.
And then the song cuts in after he dunks when he's an adult.
Yeah, and then
he's
you're
just like, shit, we're ready.
You're hyped up. You're like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. Dope, super dope track. And I remember Quad City DJs, they dropped this track called "Come On Ride the Train" that I really liked as a kid. But I've never listened to an album.
Yeah, what's crazy is the guy doing the voice. I don't know his name, but he's not rapping and he's not singing. He's almost giving a speech or something. He's trying. It's like a pep rally talk. He's trying to talk you up and get you amped up. So he's not necessarily rhyming or anything, but he's speaking to you over the music. And at the end, something I thought about today when I was listening to it is at the end when it's just the instrumental, his voice cuts out. It definitely didn't hold the same weight as when he was speaking. I feel as if his voice adds so much to that song that it's not the same without it. You almost need his voice to carry you.
I like that, and I agree with that, but I love the beat so much that I love that it rides out. It rides out for a good 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and I love the beat. And I hate when a beat cuts out before you can let me nod my head for a minute. Let me
get into it.
Hold on. So, but yeah, it's a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of repetition, but yeah, it's just like we said, just getting you hyped up and ready to.
Yeah, it's a great song. I always enjoy it when it comes on. It always gives me a smile when I hear that song.
I'm playing this one. I'm hooping for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sure. So, but the next track we begin to slow it down a little bit, and with "I Believe I Can Fly" by R. Kelly. And do you think is this prime years for R. Kelly? I
would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really get much better than "I Believe I Can Fly." And obviously, R. Kelly has gone through some crazy shit recently.
He's gone through some ups and downs.
Yeah. Which it does. I have to be honest, it makes me hard. I think about those things when I hear his music. So it makes it hard to listen to it with just focusing on the music and not thinking about the stuff he's gone through.
Are you able to disassociate between the artist and the?
For the most part, I think there's definitely a line that you can cross. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's hard because for the most part, I try not to focus on the person, and I try to focus on just the artist and the music or whatever. But in R. Kelly's case, it's a little bit different when you watch the documentaries and you hear about these things and it's thrown in your face a little bit more.
And he's like a habitual offender too of doing.
Yeah,
this.
It's not just a one-time thing. Michael Jackson to me is a little bit different because there's no actual proof. You don't see any of it. There's no videos of him actually doing anything. It's just people talking.
Yeah.
So that it's a little bit easier for me and he's dead. So to me, people coming after him after he's already passed away is kind of crazy to me. But yeah, it's hard for me. I don't know how you feel about listening to R. Kelly music.
I never really got on board with R. Kelly. There's certain, hits of his that I respect, but it's not like, I don't feel any way about it. I mean, it definitely, the stuff that he did, I would condone it for sure. Like, I think that's all pretty fucked up. But, I'm not a fan of him anyway, so.
Right.
Yeah. But, if we were placing the human aside from him and looking at the track, it is interesting because it is written, produced, and recorded by him. I didn't realize he was capable of putting in so much work. It's like not like D'Angelo, but in the same, doing kind of the similar stuff. But the song is also empowering because, at least my interpretation was, he's mostly heartbroken, but could be down on life. And, just trying to turn himself around and find that motivation to get things up and going again. So
yeah, well, and I mean, I Believe I Can Fly is an amazing song, and in itself, if you take away the person who wrote it, and it definitely when it came out, I loved it. As a kid listening to it, it was a great song. Like you, I never really got into R. Kelly, but I always loved this song. It was a great song to sing to yourself, to remind you to believe in yourself with whatever you're trying to accomplish. So yeah, it's a good song. It definitely fits with Michael Jordan and the movie and the theme of overcoming struggles and going after what you love and believing in yourself.
And this song is actually one, like I think of all the tracks on here, it's like the one that carried the soundtrack. And
I think this was one of the singles. It was R. Kelly's biggest hit as well.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. Definitely, it's a good song. But as a kid, I skipped over it. I wasn't trying to hear. If I'm playing basketball, I'm not listening to this. I'm trying to dunk. 3 feet tall. I'm trying to right now.
That's funny.
Got no time for that. So number 6, this is where Hit 'Em High. It's the Monstars anthem.
The Monstars.
What I liked about this track, I was listening to it on my way here, and we did. Was that Slum Village with Be Real? Am I messing that up?
You mean Cypress Hill?
Cypress Hill, my bad.
Slum Village.
My bad. I got them all mixed up. So with Cypress Hill and Be Real and everything, like when we did that album, for me the consensus was, this is just gangster raps and stuff like that. Yeah. But for him, Method Man, Busta Rhymes to just do straight up basketball raps, that's dope. I've never
and LL. Don't forget LL Cool J.
And LL. My bad.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Coolio's on it as well. It's a great posse cut. I loved it. I don't remember this song. Obviously, it was in the movie for a bit.
It was in the movie when like the Monstars first came into the gym. And
but it was just like the intro. It didn't have any of the rapping.
Right.
I don't remember. I don't think I owned the soundtrack when I was younger.
I didn't either. I had friends that had it. I got it in high school though from a buddy.
So this song I didn't hear too much, but listening to it now, I love it. I think it's amazing that they got all these different artists to be on this one song, and they're all spitting, and they're all aggressive. It's dope. It's a dope song for playing basketball.
I think that's a good descriptor right there. Like they are super aggressive, and it's nothing any different than than what they would deliver in their albums. What I give them credit for is they made a G for kids. Like they made
there's no cussing.
There's no cussing at all. There's not any like drug references or anything like that.
Right.
Or,
that's a good point.
Yeah, it's like legit just basketball raps for kids, and it's cool because like you're listening to Method Man as Method Man, but just rapping basketball. And it's kind of like I was kind of curious if they were going in like maybe I should pick a Monstar, embody him, and like rap what I think this person would rap. It doesn't look like they did that, but I was like, oh, that would have been kind of cool.
That would have. They probably made this song before they the movie was out and they saw it, so they had to go off of just, oh, it's a basketball movie with Jordan.
Yeah. But yeah, it embodies the Monstars like coming in as villains and like, yeah, we're gonna like imagine just these people coming onto your court and just talking all this shit.
Right.
But it's basketball raps. Like that's what this track is. And the Monstars anthem. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's a great song. I really dig it. I wish there were more songs like this. No, just in general, like for movies. In general, like posse cuts, hip hop posse cuts.
Yeah, I agree. Number 7, I Found My Smile Again by D'Angelo.
Yep.
Yo, when you did come in contact with this soundtrack, did you listen to this song?
No.
Never.
I
didn't either.
I knew about this song not from this soundtrack.
Oh.
I discovered this song a few years ago, probably like 3 or 4 years ago. Just because when D'Angelo released Black Messiah in 2014, I got really into D'Angelo and I went through his discography and just researching and digging into his work. And I Found My Smile Again was a single. It wasn't on any of the albums, so I was like, oh, let me check this out. And this might be one of my favorite D'Angelo songs. I love it. I play it all the time. Brigitte loves it. We always play it. She loves it as well. And so I was shocked that it was on this album, I was wondering why it wasn't on any of his own albums. And then now discovering that this song was on Space Jam sound, I was like, oh, okay, this is where the song came from. I had no idea that this was on here.
So when I would listen to this soundtrack, I would hear this song and the intro is like a good minute long. Like you don't hear the startup is totally different from what it turns into. It's not even incorporated. So I definitely skipped over this one. I don't even know what the fuck this is.
Yeah, D'Angelo is for grown-ups. You know what I mean? He's
okay.
He makes very mature, sensual music that kids you won't get. It's not for them. So I think it's kind of odd that this song is on here, to be honest. I don't think it quite fits. I could see how I Found My Smile Again, as in Michael Jordan finding basketball again, coming out of retirement, finding a smile again. Obviously, that's not what D'Angelo is talking about. But just the style of music he makes, it's like you said, it's a slow build up with the intro. Kids don't want a slow build up. They don't understand the meaning of building up to something, of creating tension or creating making you wait for something. You know what I mean? And even though I love this song, I just don't think it fits with the rest of these songs, especially right after Hit 'Em High. Hit 'Em High and then I Found My Smile Again. It's kind of a weird sequencing for me.
I feel that. I mean, it's interesting because, we were talking earlier about, I had mentioned there's love songs on here. I'm like, I don't know how they fit. And then you had said, like, it could just be, Jordan's love for the game, the Looney Tunes. It could be, I'm throwing this in, like the Looney Tunes' love for their home and wanting to stay and finding each other, stuff like that. But I mean, definitely I got to that same spot of like, the song doesn't fit stylistically in a way, but in terms of the meaning behind the movie, it had that, like, this is a perfect song.
It's an amazing song. And D'Angelo I don't think he was at his height in 96. He didn't really blow up until the early 2000s when he put out Devil's Pie.
Devil's Pie is an amazing song, too.
Right.
It's my second favorite song to this.
So he was still a fairly unknown artist at this time. Not unknown, but, still coming up at this time. So the fact that he got on here is pretty crazy, I think. But even still, with all that said, I love this song. Yeah. It's one of my favorites from D'Angelo. I can listen to it anytime, anywhere.
He has a really interesting voice. Like, you can't sing like D'Angelo.
No.
I'm not saying like the royal you. Like,
no, he's incredible. Yeah.
No one's singing like that.
I think he's one of the most underrated R&B artists out there. He doesn't get talked about as much. I understand why, because he's not very active. So he kind of gets forgotten about, but he's incredible.
I know you make playlists for the bedroom. Is this in it?
Oh, 100%. I got a few D'Angelo songs.
Damn. Like this song, I remember when I think I was in my car and I was like, all right, I'm just going to listen and see what this song is.
Yeah.
And like when the bass dropped and it started happening, I was like, okay. And like I try to sing to this song. I love it that much. I can't hit notes like that. I never will. This voice does not allow that. But yeah, definitely one of my top favorite songs on this album now. But that took me from being a kid to being an adult. I was not, obviously as a kid.
Right. Exactly. So next we got For You I Will by Monica. And this is a very 1990s R&B song.
Oh yeah.
It sounds very dated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Not in a bad way. It like I Found My Smile Again could come out today and sound current. Mm-hmm. For You I Will definitely sounds like it was made in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. But this one is one of those, not necessarily empowering, but like, hey, when you're not doing too hot, you can call me when the chips are down. I'll keep you safe. Mm-hmm. Ain't no mountain high enough. I'll stand by you. All these things of, maybe when, fuck the game, or I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this, then you got that friend that's on your
right.
side.
It's a pop ballad, and it was made for the movie, and it was one of the singles as well, which is dope. And I can see why they wanted to do that. Pop ballads were pretty big back then, so I'm sure the executive producers of the soundtrack thought to themselves, okay, we are going to have the pump up track. We need the R&B track. We need the slow ballad. They're covering all their bases for the singles. If you look at it from that standpoint. And this song definitely works. It fits. I think this works with the soundtrack really well because you have to have those slow moments, just like you would in the movie. You have those downturns. You can't have it all the way up all the time. They have to bring you down to bring you back up.
Mm-hmm. It's just still kind of an interesting fit, though. Like I think you mentioning D'Angelo's song, at the time not really fitting. This one doesn't fit for me a whole lot, and I'm not saying that this backs it up, but I mean this song's played in the credits. Like I think one of the last songs before the movie's like completely finished.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I had like thinking back to the movie. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to hear this, why I'm hearing it, but I think maybe your reasoning of like, we want to hit all the bases for an album and put it on here for what's good at the time. So next track we go to Upside Down, Round and Round by Salt and Peppa. And
oh man. Dude, I do not remember this song, but listening to it today, I was like, shit, this is a dope song.
Yeah?
I love it.
The beat is super cool. I love the beat to it.
Oh, man. It's incredible. I had no idea.
Yeah. I just checked
the original is by Diana Ross, so they sampled Diana Ross's song Round and Round, or Upside Down.
Oh, okay.
That part like Upside Down, Round. That's Diana Ross, and they're just rapping over it. Which is dope.
This song had to do with like just seeing someone and really liking them. I thought of like not No Scrubs, but something else. But I was kind of like,
yeah, how does that tie in?
How does this one tie in? Because like I said, aside from I doubt Michael Jordan is looking at the ball and be like, damn, you look good. Like, I can't wait to get reacquainted and stuff like that. I mean, the closest one you have is Bugs and Lola, and it's not like this. There's no love buildup. So I thought it was kind of an interesting fit as well.
Right.
And it sounds good, and I don't know. I do like the track.
Yeah, for me, it's another pump up track. It's got a high pace to it. It brings a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. And yeah, maybe their content doesn't necessarily relate to basketball or the movie, but it's still dope. I think it's a dope song.
I think I'm dribbling between my legs to this beat.
Absolutely.
For sure. So I have to say, after Quad City DJs, their track, my second favorite energy track is Giving You All That I've Got. and by Robin S.
Yeah.
And this track comes on like when they're all hanging out, and like Daffy Duck is like is on this stage and like going through different outfits and everything, but we're on the courts. And I remember like as a kid, because this song only plays for like 30 seconds and then it's gone. I was like, oh shit, like
Yeah, bring it back.
bring it right back real quick.
Yeah, this is an awesome song too. This is very 90s. It's almost got like that new jack swing sound to it, or house music sound to it. It's very upbeat, a lot of BPMs. But yeah, it's a dope song. I love it. I love Robin S. She has some other great songs as well that have been remixed for forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely gets you hyped up for sure.
Dude, super hyped. But the message behind it's cool too, because I mean, as a kid, I'm only listening to the beat and like how she carries it and everything, and that's cool. But I mean, it's basically like, I got the impression that someone was in a relationship, they got fucked over, and now they're like, all right, all dudes suck. All women suck.
Right.
But, now they met Robin S. And Robin's like, hey, like, I'm giving you all that I've got. And just because you got messed up doesn't mean that it's going to happen again. Like, I'm here to restore your faith and love by giving you 100%. So that's kind of what I got from that track. And maybe that could be referred to the game of when Michael Jordan was like, I'm done with basketball, I'm going to baseball. And like, he found his smile again when he joined up with the Looney Tunes and started playing again. Came back and won a couple more championships. So maybe that's how it ties in. But yeah, Basketball Jones.
Oh man, this is.
There's two tracks that I'm like, what the hell happened? This is probably number one.
Basketball Jones with Barry White and Chris Rock.
Who would have thought those two would
have who put this song together?
Who was like, hey, can you two get together and do this?
What's funny is this is in it's in the movie, but they took out all of Chris Rock's parts. So it's just Barry White.
Which makes sense though, because it's during the scene when Charles Barkley is like butthurt because his talent's gone. And he sees like a pickup game, and they're like, "Oh man, that's Charles Barkley." Right. So like he goes and plays with them, like, "Yeah, he's Charles Barkley," and they start making fun of him. And he has a Basketball Jones because he has this craving, but like,
can't play.
He can't play. He can't hoop. I didn't realize that this was a cover song by Cheech and Chong called "Love Jones." So I got to listen to that and see what's up.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it, listening to it. Only because I thought it was funny. I thought Chris Rock was funny in it. Him with his high-pitched screaming over Barry White's, deep, baritone voice. It's just a juxtaposition that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And, Chris Rock is yelling about chicken and all sorts of stuff. It's funny. And then he talks to Jordan in a little bit. He's making fun of him. It's cool. I mean, it's not a track that I would revisit. Out of all these songs, I might be. If I had the CD in my car, I'd probably skip this one for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. If there's 3 people in my car, I think I'll skip it. If there's one person, I'm like, no, you're gonna hear this. But I'm not gonna subject more than 2 people, more than one person to it. But
that's funny.
It's cool. I liked it. But it's kind of weird because I think about. What was it? Not Upside Down, but For You I Will. And then we go through track 8, 9, 10, and then 11, kind of I Turn to You.
Yeah.
We kind of like coming right back to that. And they're different songs, but they're similar. So instead of like, For You I Will, where it's like I'll do anything for you, it's like I Turn to You, where it's like I need, when I need support, when I'm down, like I turn to you and I need you. So it's kind of the opposite. But yeah, just paying homage to a loved one. What's interesting, I was reading about this for I Turn to You, which is done by All for One, is that there were 3 tracks on this album. Well, it was Monica that was blowing up. It was R. Kelly that blew up. And there was one other person that blew up too. And I'm pretty sure. I'll probably remember later. But All For One, it was saying that they wanted to push their song, but the label's like, yo, we're not doing it.
Right.
And so one of the members is like, yo, we'll do it with our own money. We'll push it. Let's do this. And like, no, we're not doing it. We're sitting on it. Yeah. And then years later, Christina Aguilera did a cover on it, and it pushed her and elevated her career and did really well. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like oh shit, like if you let us do it, that could have been us. But now Christina Aguilera did it.
Right.
And going back to Basketball Jones, the other thing that I saw was Love Jones made it to, I think on the top 100, let's just say it made it to number 13 or 14. Basketball Jones made it to if Love Jones made it to 14, Basketball Jones made it to 13. So it was like the first time that a cover parody did better than the original.
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So I thought that part was pretty interesting.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All For One, I Turned to You by All For One. It's a pretty cool song. I wasn't like hyped by it or anything. I wasn't so into it. It was just all right for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a cool song. Nothing that, I don't think I would be revisiting this one as well if I had the CD.
Yeah, it's too slow for me, so I'm not revisiting it. But it does. I will say, like, it has a great sound. Mm-hmm. I don't have much space in my repertoire of music listening to where I'm making a time to hear it.
Right.
But I do appreciate the sound.
Yeah.
And then we have All of My Days. And I thought this one was funny. So it's Jay-Z. I think it's produced by R. Kelly because he's not really singing on it, but he's credited on
R.
it.
Kelly produced it.
And Changing Faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought it was funny because it's like loving someone to the point where you're willing to put the toilet seat back down for him. Jay-Z's line.
Yeah, that was a funny line.
I was like, yeah, that's some deep
for
love
sure.
right there.
You know what's funny? I was right before I got to this song, I was listening to the soundtrack and thinking, man, I feel like Jay-Z would be great on this. And then the next song, you got Jay-Z. It just kind of, I was like, oh shit, there he is.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense for Jay-Z to be on here. He had probably I think he just released Reasonable Doubt. So he's one of the new up and coming artists coming up, and obviously he would go on to work with R. Kelly quite a bit.
Yeah, Worlds Collide. I never listened to that album, though. I'd be interested in listening to that.
Yeah. So it's cool. I liked it. I thought Jay-Z's verses were cool. It's a cool beat. Changing Faces, they did great on the hook. It's a cool song.
They sound good. It's definitely a 90s sing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But, like you were saying, you didn't remember a song earlier on this album. Like, I don't remember this one at all, ever. And it's obviously one that I would have skipped over for sure.
Yeah.
But it's one that I'm not listening to now either.
Gotcha.
So, and then we go to That's the Way.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it. My bad. With Biz Markie.
Biz Markie.
Doctors. Dude, I never listened. I only listened to the song during the movie, and I actually thought it was the original. I never realized that this was a remake.
Of Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is, like, I thought I was hearing the original.
Oh, gotcha. With Biz Markie.
Yeah. Because there's no vocals in the movie.
Gotcha.
So I thought the original was in the movie. But it's like, oh shit, this is actually the cover by Biz Markie that they're playing. I didn't know that until I started listening to this.
Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't know that either until doing this. I mean, I didn't know that this song was on the soundtrack and that Biz Markie did the cover. Mm-hmm. Which is dope. I enjoyed it. I always love hearing Biz Markie. He has a great voice.
The beatboxing at the beginning is pretty dope too.
Yeah. No, it's a cool song. It's another hype track to get you going. Mm-hmm. Kind of brings you up a bit.
Yeah, I'm dunking on this one too. I'm dunking on that.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a cool song.
Yeah. And I guess we hit the end with Buggin'.
Bugs Bunny.
So you hadn't listened to this track?
No, I did. I've heard it. I'm sure I heard it as a kid, but never really paid too much attention to it. But yeah, I listened to it just before we recorded, And damn, Bugs Bunny's spitting bars on this.
So here's what I've been waiting to tell you. Do you know who wrote that song?
No, who wrote it?
Jay-Z.
Wow.
Jay-Z is credited with writing.
I could totally see
bars.
that. I could see Jay-Z writing this because it's a diss track.
He's hella dissing. He's dissing Mickey Mouse and the Disney organization and everything. Yeah. So he's dropping bombs.
Whoever does Bugs Bunny's voice did a great job.
Yeah, he kept a good flow throughout.
He kept a good flow. He knew what he was doing, and I'm sure Jay-Z gave him some pointers. But damn, yeah, Bugs Bunny had bars.
Apparently, it's rumored that there's a video of Jay-Z rapping it, but I didn't look for it yet. So, but yeah, man, he's dropping bars out here. I like what more can I say? The less, the better. I'm the coolest rabbit, Doc Holliday.
Yeah,
and it's just like okay, all right. Yeah, just bars all day of being Bugs Bunny, chilling with the Looney Tunes. And
it is cool when you get like characters like this in a completely different scenario or context. You know, Bugs Bunny rapping. He's been around since the 1930s, so it's just cool to see that because that doesn't happen all the time.
No. It doesn't, and I thought it was done. I don't know. Maybe this is the 8-year-old me speaking, but I mean, I thought it was done well. I thought it was funny and entertaining. Like I didn't think it was corny or anything like that, and I still find it funny today. Like I think there was a line that we picked up when we were listening to it before we were recording. We're like, oh, that's funny,
right?
So, and I like kind of like Uncle Murder or Benny the Butcher, in their background when they say stuff. And like you have Elmer Fudd with his lisp and everything, like saying stuff in the background. And you have Porky Pig saying stuff in the background. It's like, that's, I think Elmer the Fudd was like, twoo, twoo. And it's like, damn, okay. So just stupid shit like that. It's super funny. So I dig it.
So yeah, it's a cool way to end the album. It's funny.
It's a great way.
It's almost like a Easter egg or something you get at the end of something.
Oh yeah, kind of like I think of Ludacris's album where you get "Welcome to Atlanta" at the very end, which you can listen to. Stupid ass song to get to it. I hate that. Could you do it on a CD player? You have to like hold down fast forward to get to it.
Well, I mean, imagine if you have a tape player.
Oh my god,
cassette tape. You got to really fast forward it.
2 minutes before you even get to the track.
Yeah. So that's the end of the soundtrack. It's not that long. It's only 14 tracks, so it's pretty short. But it's cool. There's some classic songs on here. I think for us, a lot of it is nostalgia. It brings us back to that time, especially listening to songs like "Fly Like an Eagle," "I Believe I Can Fly," "Upside Down," "All of My Days," "That's the Way I Like It." Like all these songs bring you back to that time. Robin S. And it's a cool mix of songs. I think there's a lot of variety. You got your slow ballads, you got your hip hop tracks, you got your R&B tracks, you got your hype tracks. They basically cover everything.
So I want to go off of that last thing that you just said, because I wrote down a question. I said, who bought this album? Because as we're going through these tracks, and you're talking about hey, they're putting on a ballad here. This is hot, the 90s. We're talking about tracks like D'Angelo, where it's like these are love songs that are going to go over kids' heads. But then you have your hype tracks in Space Jam and the one with Biz Markie. This album, I had said it went platinum. You corrected me and said it went 3 times.
Six times platinum.
6 times. And sold over, I think the last thing I saw was over 10 million copies or something like that.
Yeah.
Who bought this album? Let me add on to that though. Who bought this album? And also, was it kids like me who were just like, hey, we want those hype tracks like Space Jam because that shit was fire? Or are they buying it because of the whole thing?
I think they're buying it for the singles. You had Fly Like an Eagle, I Believe I Can Fly, Space Jam. For those 3 songs alone, I think a lot of people bought this. I think for the most part, it was parents buying this for their kids that saw the movie. And I'm sure there is, I'm sure there were 20 and 30-year-olds who who are, they like Jordan and they're into it, and then they're like, oh shit, there's a dope D'Angelo song on here, or their Seal's dope, or they're into that type of music, so they buy it. But yeah, it is a very kind of mishposh of songs, but it works. But I think you're right. I think for the most part, they're buying it for the hype tracks. They're buying it for maybe 2 or 3, and then that's what sells it. And then, you got these other 11 songs on there for you to enjoy as well, if you want. But yeah, I don't think people are buying it because they want to like listen to it in full and look for a story or how it relates to the movie. I don't think they're really looking into it like that.
Definitely. I don't think that at all. But, I think, the hype tracks that I'm talking about, but then we also have to take into consideration that R. Kelly, I'm not saying he carried the album, but his single did really, really well.
Right.
And the other 2 artists that we mentioned earlier, like, yeah, I guess when you're floating off of those, and then you can tack on Space Jam and you can tack on Robin S. Like, that's at least if you're spending. So for another thing too is that the original website is still active.
Yeah. So go to spacejam.com. It is the original website from 1996, and it's hilarious to see because it's nothing like what you would find today on a website. It looks like,
fan-made.
It looks like fan-made. It looks like a kid in middle school made this, and I'm sure they spent thousands of dollars making this back in the day.
Jesus,
I'm sure they spent a lot of money putting this together. But yeah, so you can go on there and it gives you a number to call to buy the CD for $12.99 or the cassette tape for $8.99.
Those are steals right there.
Yeah.
But, I'm thinking about how many tracks are on it? 14?
Yeah.
And, if we're talking about the 3 hit singles and then the 2 or 3 hype ones, that's 6 tracks right there. And I think $12.99 is worth, at that time, is worth those six beasts of songs right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, definitely a steal. But I don't know, man. What are you? So the question is, are you still playing this? And who are you playing it for?
I think I am still playing this when I'm in the mood to be nostalgic or just hear some older songs. I think I would definitely throw this on.
I played it one time when we went hooping too.
Yeah, I would listen to this while I'm hooping. I would listen to this in the car. Maybe while I'm working out.
Yeah,
this would be a good time for it. So I just looked up. They did release vinyl in 1996 of the soundtrack, and you can buy it on Discogs today for $200 if you want the original vinyl.
Okay.
I know this actually just got re-released recently for Record Store Day. Let's see. Yes, it did.
I bet it'll come back next year.
So this came out for Record Store Day in 2017, and you can buy it for $85 today. Damn, I would love to have the original vinyl to this. That'd be sick. I'd be so down.
That'd be so sick. But, for me, I think I'm still playing this today. Not often, but, like I said, the Space Jam song is just still a fire track for me today.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to bump that in my car on the way home.
Yeah.
But, I play this soundtrack when I go shoot hoops on occasion. Like, I'm still listening to this. So, I personally think it aged really well. And especially as you grow older, this is coming from, a kid mindset of like, okay, I have my select songs that I really like. But then for me, I start transitioning, growing a little bit. And it's like, now I'm listening to D'Angelo. And I think because of this track, like I got 2 of his albums from that and really liked them. It wasn't until we did Cypress Hill when I was like, oh shit, this voice sounds really familiar. And I went back to the Space Jam soundtrack and I was like, oh shit, this is where I heard Be Real in Space Jam.
Yeah.
So like, it's cool because there's a lot of people that we grew up listening to with Method Man, Busta Rhymes, that like you can kind of go back to see what they did and you're still listening to them today. So I mess with, this is one of my top favorite soundtracks.
Yeah, it's a cool soundtrack. There's a lot of fun songs on it. It's cool to have all that collection of songs that brings you back to that time and to this movie. And especially for me being a kid, waiting to go see the movie in the theaters and then going and being so hyped. And then, like you said, when the credits first come on and the Space Jam song comes on, it's like you're ready. Yeah, you're ready to go. It's a dope soundtrack. We do have other soundtracks on the list because there's other really dope hip hop soundtracks to discover. But it's cool. It's definitely different going through a soundtrack compared to an album because you're not necessarily worried about a story or structure. It's a collection of songs that generally fit together with the movie,
right?
Or they're featured in the movie. They're not necessarily trying to go together and mesh in a certain way. So it's kind of fun just to listen to a soundtrack and not dig so deep into how all the songs are connected.
But I mean, in doing this episode, like, it's fun like that at the same time because this is the only time I'm really going to look deep into those songs.
Right.
I'm just looking at, normally you look at a song when it's playing and you're like, okay, this is why it's playing. It's kind of telling you a message or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but it was cool to dive deep into this soundtrack. I never saw myself doing that.
Absolutely. That's our episode on the Space Jam soundtrack from 1996. Hope you enjoyed it. You can definitely check us out on social media on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can also follow us on Spotify, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, Amazon, wherever you listen. Definitely follow us on there. Give us a review. Give us 5 stars. All that fun stuff. You can also catch us on YouTube. You can watch short video clips of us recording the podcast and full episodes on there as well. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Thank you for listening.
All right. Peace.